Hi, everyone. I'm April from Bashar Communications, and I'd like to welcome you to this exciting evening of Contact with Bashar. This is the first night of a weekend event. Tonight, Bashar will be focused on the topic of shifting through infinity. And that, from what we know about it so far, has to do with becoming more aware of how we operate in our lives and we shift from parallel reality to parallel reality. And that will lead into tomorrow's session, which is called, in the morning, Sacred Circuitry. And that has to do with how our brains are wired and activating certain areas of our brains to create certain states of being. And then in the afternoon, Bashar will be giving us a guided meditation with the holotope. That's the large visual artwork that you see here on the left. And I guess lastly, I wanted to mention to everyone that I do take people on dolphin swims in Hawaii, and I've been fortunate enough to take some of the people in here. And just to share with you all that the last time I was there, the interactions with the dolphins intensified so much that I'm not even really sure what's going on yet, except that it may be that we've been swimming with them for about 15 years. And so the children, the dolphin babies, they grew up swimming with us, so they know us. So now when we swim with them, they treat us like we're one of the pod. They surround me sometimes. They're just inches away. And an interesting behavior that started, I've had dolphins sticking out their tongues at me. And like laughing, you know? So it's really interesting that they're engaging in new forms of communication, and it's always an exciting experience. You know, they're filled with so much love. So there's some flyers outside if you're interested, if you come to Hawaii. And also, I'm going to be putting together a trip swimming with the humpback whales in the Dominican Republic this year. So I just need to know how much interest there is. So if after the session you're interested, if you would send me an email, I'll communicate with you, and we'll see about putting together a trip in February or March. And there will be some participation from Bashar on that trip, but we haven't exactly figured out how that's going to be yet, right? But I'll give you a little clue that there will be. Daryl won't be on the trip, but
maybe
Bashar will
show up. I don't know.
Okay, so without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to Daryl and Bashar and to thank both of them for opening up this unique window into another dimension and providing us with energy that allows us to take the next step in our evolution as a consciousness. So thank you, Daryl and Bashar.
Thank you, April. All right, well, can everyone hear me okay? Okay. I know you won't have any problem hearing Bashar. Be a lot louder than I am. Thank you again for being here tonight. We really appreciate you coming out to play and have some fun. For the people that are new, let me bring everyone up to speed real briefly with a little bit of background on what this is and how it happened. About 37 years ago, here in LA, I had two very close broad daylight UFO sightings. First time about 150 feet away, the second time only about 70 feet away. Both times with witnesses, thank God. And each time was a black equilateral triangular ship about 20, 30 feet on a side. And after having seen that, now that I knew such things existed, I wanted to find out more about that. So I started researching about UFOs. My research over the years led me to become somewhat more familiar with other aspects of metaphysical studies, because especially back then, this was like in the early 70s, there weren't many books on the subject, and they used to all sort of be on the same shelf in the bookstore in the back. So if you started with one, you just kind of like went down the line, and eventually I started reading some books on channeling, particularly the Seth books that existed back then. 10 years after the sighting, I was actually introduced to a channel and went to those seminars for a while to further my research and understand what that process was about. And eventually the entity coming through that channel actually offered to teach channeling for whoever was interested. Now, I went into that class not because I wanted to be a channel consciously. I just wanted to further my research, and I wanted to understand how something like channeling could be taught. When I was in that class, which was basically a series of different kinds of meditations to put you in touch with whatever you wanted to get in touch with, I was in a meditative state, and in the middle of that meditative state, coupled with some other things that had happened in the class, I received what I can only describe as kind of an automatic download, a telepathic contact. And in one split second, it was like a memory came back of having agreed to do this channeling in this life with Bashar. In that same second, I understood that the UFO had been shown to me on purpose to get me to start learning what I needed to learn, so that by the time it came time to start the channeling, I would be prepared. And the question that was there in the telepathic contact was, now that you remember you made this agreement, and now that you know it's time to begin, is this something you would still like to do? It was offered as a choice. I thought about it for a while because I wanted to make sure that what was going on in my head wasn't simply some hallucinatory byproduct of the meditation. I didn't really know what to expect. But by that time, I had heard enough information from the entity through the other channel to know that the real point of channeling is not even so much where it's coming from, whether that's real. I can't prove that Bashar exists anyway. The point of this is the information does seem to have the ability to help people make the kind of changes in their lives that they wish to make, and that's why we continue to do the channeling, which I've now been doing for the past 27 years. The word Bashar came at that moment of telepathic contact, and I simply assumed it was his name. But in their society, they're telepathic. They don't have names. They don't need them. He knew we needed to call him something, and so the word was there. It is actually an Arabic word. I am partly Arabic, but I don't speak the language, and so I really had no idea what it was until a couple of years after I actually had started channeling publicly. Someone came up to me and said the word Bashar was Arabic, and did I know what it meant? And I said, no, I have no idea. He said the word means messenger or bringer of good news. So even though it is not literally his name, it is a description of what it is he's doing, and that you can use it as his name in that sense to call him that. Basically, channeling as I understand it, as I've learned to understand it, is something that we all naturally have the ability to do, and that we all in fact do from time to time. It's a natural state that we get into when we're doing something we love to do, when we stop really kind of thinking about it and get out of our way, when a singer sort of falls into the song, when an actor becomes the character. That's a channeling state. So we all have the ability to do this, and it just depends on what you want to do with it when you get into that state. This is what I do with it, along with other things. Bashar does present himself as an extraterrestrial consciousness, so certainly you can talk to him that way. He can tell you anything you want about his own civilization. Again, nothing we can prove at this point. The information itself is really the proof in terms of whether it works for you or not. But if this in fact is truly an extraterrestrial telepathic contact, then basically what's happening here is a precursor to physical contact, as I understand it, as Bashar's explained it. This is kind of what they do to sort of help get us used to them and create a new vibration in which we can interact with each other more easily. So by all means, you can speak to him the way he presents himself and ask him whatever you want. The bottom line really is that he's very direct. So if there's something that's important to you to ask him, by all means, don't be shy about it. Even if it's a personal question, he usually has a knack for extracting from that question something that will help the entire gathering. So don't hold back just because of that. If you are comfortable sharing it in front of the group, then Bashar will be happy to engage you with that question, whatever it is, on any subject. Again, bottom line, the more fun you have with him, the more fun he'll have with you. And once again, I thank you very much for being here tonight. And Now I'm going to go into the altered state. It will just take me a minute. When I'm in the altered state, what I experience is like a daydream. I know there's something going on, but the analogy I make is that I move over to the passenger seat and Bashar takes over driving. So I'm not paying attention to the road anymore. I don't really hear the words. I'm having my own experience, looking out the window at other things. But it's very pleasurable for me, even though when I come out of it at the end, it sort of fades like a dream. But I get infused with whatever information I need to understand in a conceptual level, in a telepathic way. So I'm having a good time. And I hope you also have a good time. So I'll see you later. Bye.
A real say good day to you this day of your time. How are you all? All right, thank you. We would like to begin this interaction this day of your time with once again extending to each and every one of you individually and all of you together collectively our deepest appreciation for the co-creation of this interaction and the allowance of this transmission in this way. Each and every time you co-create these kinds of interactions with our civilization, you are helping to form a bridge and a link between our respective realities and creating the formation of a third reality, a new vibration, in which we can both interact in a variety of ways. This to us is a gift, for thus we are allowed to experience through each and every one of you another facet of the multidimensional crystal of creation. So we thank you for your gift of sharing. We would like to begin this transmission in the following way, with the idea that we have labeled shifting through infinity. We have, for quite some time, been talking with you about the concept of parallel realities, and your society is becoming more and more familiar with this concept in a variety of ways. Many even of your entertainments on your television sets and your motion pictures are now presenting ideas, and have for quite some time, of parallel realities. But the idea is that while these may seem still to be something exotic, something unusual, something that you don't necessarily know how to access, the truth is that you access them all the time. Every day, every moment. In fact, you access them billions of times per second. The idea really is to understand, as we have discussed before, is that everything already exists right now. It is all one thing. There is only here, there is only now. What you call the past, what you call the future, in a sense, are simply matters of illusionary perspective. The future and the past are perspectives, not places. They don't exist as places. They are just another way of seeing another now, another angle of the now. All the different things you call moments, this moment, that moment, from your linear space-time perspective in physical reality, are simply different perspectives, different angles, different points of view of the same now moment of existence, because there is only one. All things exist in all forms right now. So therefore, from a linear perspective, the idea of everything existing all at once is expressed in a space-time framework that you understand as multiple, simultaneously coexisting parallel realities. That's the only way for that concept to exist in a space-time referential frame. But the idea is that every single one of those in existing now is its own reality, its own universe, absolutely total and complete. But the idea is that it is like a series of frozen snapshots. Every single moment unto itself actually has no motion in it. The idea is very similar, as we have often explained, to the analogy of what you call your motion picture film, which is composed of several frames, each of which, unto itself, exhibits no motion whatsoever. But when you run it through your projector and when you pass the light through it onto the screen, you get the illusion of motion by picturing one frame at a time in what you call a sequence. Reality is actually structured much that way. There are this number of simultaneously coexisting frozen moments, and as you pass, in a sense, you project, in a sense, your consciousness through these moments from different perspectives, you create the illusion of motion. So the idea of parallel realities is not only that there are distinct, whole and entire other realities, similar and some not similar to your own, but that movement itself, the very idea, the very effect that you call motion even in your so-called reality is actually the product of moving through billions of parallel frozen realities to create that illusion of motion, that illusion of continuity. So accessing parallel realities is not something you have to learn how to do. It's totally automatic to your nature as a co-creator, as an aspect of creation. The idea why we are expressing this at this time is that there are ways for you to learn to use this, to become aware of the fact that you're already doing this, to expand your awareness of the total of reality to some degree. Now, granted, from the physical perspective, you will not necessarily have the capability of becoming aware of the totality of creation, but you can certainly become aware of more of it, at least that which is relevant to the window of physical reality in which you have chosen to exist, or in which you have chosen to experience your consciousness in this way. So the idea is to understand that you don't really have to learn how to access these parallel realities. You just have to learn to accelerate your ability to perceive more of what you are already a part of. And that's really all there is to it. But we would like to give you a little bit of an illustration, if we may. Lights. All right. Now, there is a device, and this device that you have on your planet will be utilized to help illustrate the point. Generally speaking, when you have multiple realities, they are vibrating in a sense, flickering, if you wish to put it that way, on and off very quickly. In a sense, analogous to the idea of what you call the strobe. The idea being that because it flashes so quickly, you get a smooth sense of continuity. But physical reality, compared to the totality of all these vibrations, is actually something more like this. So, the idea is that physical reality is really a series. Motion in physical reality is really a series of these frozen moments, but you have this, 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 this. But you do it at a rate where it seems smooth and continuous. Lights. The idea being thus, that reality is already moving, in a sense, at a very, very high rate, as we said, billions in a sense of flickers per second. But you're only perceiving so many of them to create the experience of physical reality. You can broaden that window of exactly how many flickers you're capable of perceiving and experiencing. And that's the whole idea. So, expansion, enlightenment, is really the process of stepping up your vibration, stepping up your frequency, so that you be able to match more of the beats, get in sync with more of the flickers, and thus be able to perceive more of the realities that exist already all around you, but which you find are now invisible to you if you do not actually vibrate at a rate that is commensurate with the ability to perceive more of those flickers. Does this make sense to you? Yes. So you are stepping up your frequency to be able to see more of what's already around you, of what's already right here and right now. In a sense, that's what expansion of consciousness is really all about. And that's why you hear over and over again the idea of the importance of raising your vibration, raising your frequency, which, as we have said, is very, very easy to do when you act on the things that give you the most joy in life, the most excitement in life. Because the excitement is your body's physical translation of the highest frequency of your true natural self. And when you stay in sync with that frequency, you are capable of perceiving more things, more levels of the reality all around you. This is what is called inspiration, imagination, creativity. And when you are in that state of unconditional love, when you are in that state, you have access to your higher self. You form a stronger relationship with the higher self, between the higher mind and the physical mind. This methodology, this idea that you are shifting constantly, gives you the opportunity to understand that it's not about learning how to shift. It's about learning what you would prefer to shift to. Since you are shifting all the time, since shifting and manifestation and transformation are automatic and immediate, so immediate that you don't even know you're doing it, so smooth are the flickers you don't even know that it's happening, you are already manifesting reality after reality after reality after reality. This moment is really a new reality. This moment is really a new reality. This moment is really a new reality. Literally. Literally. This is not a metaphor. You have passed through several billion parallel realities during the course of this transmission. But the idea is that you're all agreeing to stay in sync so that you all experience similar parallel realities and a similar continuity in this transmission, even as we are in agreement with you to do so. This is the true power of consciousness. You are so powerful. You have no idea how powerful you are to be able to do this. You are so powerful, you are unaware of how powerful you are. That's how powerful you are. It's so automatic and so smooth. You are such a creator and able to do this so automatically you don't even know you're doing it. That's how powerful you are. So the idea is to become more aware that you are doing this, and thus you can utilize what you are doing automatically by nature in a more conscious way, in a more aware way, in order to allow yourself to manifest the specific parallel reality configuration that is more representative of the reality that you say you prefer. So because, and here's the point, because you are constantly, automatically shifting immediately from parallel reality to parallel reality, the idea is that you don't have to learn how to shift. The idea is to understand that you can make a bigger degree in the difference between one parallel reality and the other, because the only reason you don't know you're shifting is because you keep creating parallel realities that are so similar to the last one, you barely notice the difference. Now, you do notice it because there is, as we said, such a thing as movement. And as we have explained, movement itself is actually a shifting through parallel realities. But again, that's not what you've been taught to understand, so you don't recognize motion as shifting through billions of realities. Even this motion required several billion parallel realities to actually experience. The idea thus is that if you wish to really see that you're manifesting immediately and automatically, then you have to create a larger degree of difference from one parallel reality to the next. And that's where the true magic of manifestation comes in. Because when you start to understand that the next parallel reality can really be defined in any way, shape, or form that you want it to be, then you can really start creating new definitions, new configurations that are very different from the reality that you had a moment ago, and you will start seeing things happening that you would describe then as miraculous or magical. Because that's all miracles are, is simply a greater shift from one parallel reality to another in terms of their configuration so that you can actually see the difference between them in a much more outstanding way. Does that make sense?
Yes.
All right. So the idea is to begin to wrap your mind around the notion, begin to feel that really you are already traveling through parallel realities with ease, effortlessly. By your very nature, this is what you do. And as you begin to allow yourself more opportunity to act on your highest joy, which then makes you a magnet for the kinds of ideas, the kinds of realities, the kinds of definitions you say you prefer, you will begin to allow yourself as that attractive antenna, as that attractive magnet, to pull to you, in a sense, those configurations of parallel realities that are more in keeping and more reflective with what you say you're putting out. Because that is the law. What you put out is what you get back. Simple as that. So the idea is to begin in whatever way, shape, or form works for you within your imagination, whether it be through meditation, whether it be through some sort of activity, to begin to allow yourself to play with this notion that billions of parallel realities are passing through the projection beam of your consciousness every second. Now, for those of you a little bit more scientifically minded, because we can hear some individuals going, well, what is exactly the rate at which these parallel realities are actually shifting? And in fact, your scientists actually already know what the rate is, but they don't actually know that what they have labeled as the rate actually is the rate of shifting. They call it Planck time. For those who are familiar, the idea is there is in your scientific nomenclature a thing called Planck length, which is very, 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 very small. You want to know how small? Yes. All right. If you take what you call in your reality an atom, one atom, and you wish to measure the diameter of that atom. Now, you all know an atom is very small, yes? All right. If you want to measure the diameter of that atom in Planck lengths, so many Planck lengths, and you did it by measuring one Planck length every second, the amount of time it would take you to go from one side of that atom to the other would be 10 million times 14 billion. That's how small a Planck length is. So, Planck time is the amount of time it takes for light to travel one Planck length. So that is a very small increment of time. That is the rate at which parallel realities per second are going through you and your consciousness. That's why you don't notice it. It's a very seemingly smooth and unbroken rate of shifting. But the idea is that is the rate for the entirety of what we call spirit reality and physical reality. It encompasses all dimensions, all realities, all expressions of parallel reality of any kind. Physical reality is obviously not flickering in a sense, or you are not perceiving that many flickers. In physical reality, generally speaking, you are perceiving roughly, on average, about 60 flickers per second. That's it. That's it. Compared to billions and billions and billions and billions of flickers in that same second that represents all of the other rest of creation and reality that you are not perceiving. Obviously, you can expand that window a little bit. There's a little room for growth. And that is what we are here to talk about, and that is what we are here to play with. The idea being that you will find that even within your physical reality, as you go from what you call third density awareness to fourth density awareness, you will generally find that you will be expanding this rate of ability to perceive the flickers from the average that exists now of about 60, shall we say, frames per second, to an average of about 300 frames per second, with some people capable of attaining about 1,000 frames per second. Still not a lot compared to billions and billions and billions. Nevertheless, it will allow you to perceive quite a bit more than you're perceiving now. Allow quite a bit more synchronicity, quite a bit more miraculous and magical manifestations to automatically occur in your life. Just with that little bit of a stretch, you will be able to experience quite a bit more. Again, at whatever rate that you are capable of opening and broadening this window, it is up to you. You don't have to rush. You don't have to push yourselves. Remember, everything is now. So in a sense, you have all the time in creation. So no rush. You don't have to be in a hurry. You don't have to say, oh, when am I going to get there? I need to hurry up. I'm very impatient. Remember, the only reason you need patience is because you are impatient to get somewhere other than here. But if you understand that here is all there is, and you truly appreciate what here is all about, and live in that moment, you will not care about being anywhere but here, or any when but here. And so, when you are not impatient to get anywhere else, you will no longer need to be patient. You will be having so much fun just being who you are, where you are, and when you are, that you will never want to be anywhere but here and now and you. So, the idea, thus then, for the moment, would be to relax, close your eyes, and let us begin a little bit of an expansive push of this concept for you. Now, as you relax, tomorrow of your time, this transmission will also contain, as was already mentioned, the idea of sacred circuitry. These will be diagrams that will function as permission slips to help you create certain kinds of states which can allow your neurology, your brain neurology, to wire itself and rewire itself in a manner to aid and assist in your ability to perceive more of these flickers. But we will get into that and that now. This now, we will do this. Allow yourself to take 3 deep, relaxing breaths. In and out. In and out. In and out. And just continue to breathe easily. And as you do, just allow yourself to imagine in whatever way, shape, or form you so desire, in whatever way works best for you. Imagine yourself standing in a place, whatever place that may be, on a city street, in a meadow, near the ocean, it does not matter. Whatever might be your favorite place. Whatever gives you peace. Whatever gives you joy. Whatever is a reflection of that sense of solitude. As you thus then stand there in your mind's eye and envision that environment, allow yourselves to see all motion cease. You can still move, but it is if you are standing in a frozen tableau, a diorama in a museum, where everything is frozen in whatever movement it was making at the time you froze it. The birds in the air are frozen in mid-flight. The waves of the ocean are frozen. Everything is still, unmoving. You can look at it, you can walk around, you can examine it from all sides, all angles, whatever object you wish to. But nothing moves but you. Now, after you have satisfied yourself that nothing is moving, allow yourself to allow the next frame to click in. Just one frame, click. Just a little bit of motion, just a hint, just a tiny bit. And then allow the next frame, click. And the next, click. And the next, click. And click, 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 click. Allow the motion to slowly resume, but a frame at a time. Click, 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 click. And give yourself the ability to imagine that as it remains at that rate where you can still see things clicking, don't let it go so fast that you can't see it clicking. Still let it click. That you can move at whatever pace you wish to independently, and you can go to any object, you can adjust anything, you can change any scenario, you can turn the sky a different color, you can make it a different time of day, you can rearrange the positions of any people or any objects, you can even change them into different people or different objects if you wish. Click, 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 click. Let all these changes come about according to what you desire, according to what image and what vision represents to you the idea of an ideal, preferred, joyful, peaceful reality, however you wish to imagine it, but see yourself rearranging it by click, by click, by click, similar to how you would rearrange furniture in your homes. Oh, I think that would look nice over there. Oh, I think this could be a different color. Oh, I think I would like that a little bigger. I think I would like that a little smaller. I think I would like this to come in. I think I would like that to go out. Click, 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 click. As you move through this reality, one reality, another reality, another reality, another reality, yet maintaining your sense of continuity, your sense of self, your self-awareness, your sense of consciousness. You see it all. You see it all happening at a comfortable rate, a rate of awareness where you can make these changes easily, effortlessly, because the reality is waiting for you. It is taking its cue from your consciousness at the rate at which it changes and the degree to which it changes. The rate at which you perceive it is up to you. Click, 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 click. Allow yourself thus then to envision whatever represents to you in any given scenario a vision and a picture of your ideal reality where you are at peace, you are at joy, you are creative, you are loving, you are loved, that life is effortless, that the challenges are exciting, and that you know that this is truly who you are and can see and feel and hear and taste and smell and touch. And all your other senses are aware that this is your true self in this place, that this is reflective and representative of your true frequency, your true vibration as a co-creator. Click, 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 click. And when you have the image where you prefer it to be, you can allow yourself to wait, hold it for a frozen moment to see everything there, ready to move but not moving, like actors waiting to go on stage, and then let it run. Let it ramp up and see that reality in as realistic a way as you perceive your reality to be. And then understand that you have breathed life into this. You have created a magnetization and an attraction to this frequency, to yourself, by doing this in this way. You can do this anytime you wish, as a technique, as a tool, as a permission slip. For remember, two important things. All techniques, all tools, all rituals are nothing but permission slips. You give yourself permission to be more of who you are by using whatever tool, technique, and ritual seems to work best for you in your imagination. That's all any tool, object, or technique or ritual is. A permission slip to allow you, according to your belief systems and definitions of reality, to give yourself permission to be more of who you are each and every time you do it. So use this technique whenever you wish, however you wish, to whatever degree you wish. Playfully, lovingly, joyfully, creatively, imaginatively. And know that it is magnetizing you, magnetizing that reality to you. Now, secondly, understand and remember, as we have discussed, there is the higher mind, there is the physical mind. The physical mind is conjuring this image of your ideal reality. But the physical mind is not designed necessarily to conjure the ultimate picture of the best possible way things could manifest for you. So this representation is exactly that. It is a symbolic representation of the ideal reality. And the most important thing about it is not how it looks. The most important thing about it is the vibrational resonance of how it feels. Because that resonance is what is being transmitted to your higher mind, and the higher mind can then be allowed to do its job of going about the business of bringing to you the true elements that will actually allow you to experience the resonance that is represented by that picture, but it may come in a different form. It might come the way you've pictured it, but it might come in a different form, and the secret is to let it. Because your higher mind is the only part of you that knows how things are going to happen. Physical mind is not designed to know how things are going to happen. Physical mind is only designed to know how things are happening. So let the higher mind do its job, work in concert with it, and while you have that absolute picture that represents that absolute ideal, be willing to drop your expectation and insistence that it must come out that way, because what to the physical mind is the ceiling, to the higher mind is the floor. And the higher mind is far more capable of bringing you a picture that is far greater than the physical mind is even capable of imagining. So please, by all means, let it. And don't insist that the ideal reality must happen exactly as the physical mind has pictured it, because that is just a template. It's just a symbol to get you in the proper state to allow the higher mind to do its job and bring you what is representative of that resonant state, that magnetic, attractive state you have created by conjuring up that picture. So that picture has done its job. Don't insist that it must look exactly like the physical mind pictured it. Otherwise, you'll actually be limiting the way the higher mind can actually bring you something that would be so much grander than you can imagine. You are shutting the door by insisting on that picture. It could come that way, but why not allow it to come in a way that is even beyond your imagining, more exciting than you could have imagined? Let the higher mind work with you, because you are not a whole person unless you have physical mind and higher mind working together. If you just insist that physical mind must do all the work and make everything happen, and that higher mind has no part in that, then you're only functioning with half a mind. I believe humans call it half-wit. So, use your full wits. Allow yourself to know that you are not really a full person, not really the full personality, unless you allow the higher mind and physical mind to work in concert as partners and allow each of them to do the job they were designed to do. Physical mind and physical ego are only designed to simply help you keep focused in the physical reality experience. That's it. Where the ego gets, as you say, out of alignment is when it has been taught to believe that it is in control and must do everything and make everything happen, that it's in charge, and that everything is on its poor little shoulders. That's why when you try to make things happen, you expend effort and everything is a struggle, everything is strife, everything is a pain, and you get tired and worn out and burned out. Physical mind wasn't designed to carry that load. Let the higher mind lift that weight and do its job by working in tandem in this way. Use this exercise, this imagining of the click, click, click parallel realities anytime you wish. Have fun with it. Let your imagination be your guide. Let your imagination alter it in whatever way, shape, or form it wishes to alter it, because, again, your imagination is keyed to you vibrationally. So trust that whatever way it changes it is what works best for you at that particular moment. Does that make sense? Yes. Then take 3 more deep breaths. In and out. In and out. In and hold it. Hold it, hold it, hold it in a frozen moment. And let it out. And let yourself understand that as you do that, you are giving permission for your realities, your parallel realities, to shift in ways that are more representative of the idea, the state of being you prefer. But please understand that you are already shifting, and that is automatic, it is effortless, it is part of your nature, it is who and what you are, and you don't have to learn to shift. Just expand your focus of how you're shifting to what you prefer it to be. We thank you for allowing us to share this idea with you in this way at this time. In return for the gift you are giving to us in allowing us to experience your civilization through you, I ask now, how may we be of service to you?
Good evening, Bashar.
And to you, good day.
My question's kind of a little different.
One moment. All right, speak up and be bold so that all may hear what you have to share.
I've been doing a lot of studying with our earth sciences and trying to expand my knowledge and trying to...
You have been expanding your knowledge, yes?
Yes.
Not trying to.
I have been expanding my
Thank
knowledge,
you.
you're right. And I had a question for you.
Yes, sir.
In relation to us, we know the speed of light to
Yes.
be 300 million meters per second, approximately, relative to us.
All right.
In the third density, what would the speed of light actually be relative to zero motion? So as you said in your lab before, as space-time is a 0 to 100% concept,
Yes.
as we know it, what would be zero as far as motion to the full speed of light? What would the actual speed be? Because relative to us
The speed of light doesn't change in that context. What we were talking about is that you would simply experience all the time. You understand?
Yes.
There is in the idea space-time. Therefore, if you are occupying that 100% space-time by moving 90% space, then there is only 10% left for time, and that's why time slows down the faster you move closer to the speed of light. So in that sense, thus then, not moving at all or hardly moving at all simply allows you to experience all the time. That's what we meant. It doesn't change the idea of the speed of light in terms of its actual rate in your physical reality.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes, it does make sense.
All right.
I guess what I'm trying to ask is, what would the rate be, the velocity be, relative to us? Because I know we are moving...
It stays the same.
I know relative to us on Earth, we are moving at a velocity, so therefore we can only
Yes.
measure it relative to us.
Yes.
But relative to the actual full speed from zero, not moving at all, to the speed of light, what would that be?
Your science of relativity tells you that the speed of light doesn't change with any relative motion of anything else. Only your perception of what's going on in space-time does.
Okay.
Does that make sense to you? The speed of light, or what you call the speed of light, is literally the vibrational barrier of your third-dimensional reality. So in that sense, what you're actually describing is more like a fabric than something that actually has a rate. Does that make sense?
Yes. It does make sense.
Thus, then, the idea of the rate of flicker going from parallel reality to parallel reality in the way that we have described it is really the way to express what you're talking about. But in terms of its absolute rate, since it is the defining barrier or border of physical reality, it doesn't change relative to any other motion within that reality.
Okay. Relative to, say, fourth density, would it be moving at a different rate?
Yes.
What would that rate be then in relation to third density? What would the...
It can be anywhere from many thousands of times faster to many millions of times faster. It depends upon where you are in the idea of the higher reality levels.
So as you move to a higher density,
Yes.
light speeds up by...
Well, in a sense. Now, understand that what we are talking about here, in a sense, is a euphemistic analogy. The idea is that you simply become more aware of more of what already exists. Because, in a sense, what you typically call light is simply an effect, a side effect. You're only seeing a part of what you call light. You understand? What you call light is only a part of something bigger. So you perceive more of that bigger energy, that bigger frequency, that bigger consciousness. And thus then you can experience the idea of instantaneity, even, where there is no time at all, where there is what you would call infinite speed on certain levels of dimensionality and awareness. But it's not exactly traveling in the same way that you understand light to travel in your reality. That's just an illusionary side effect. Therefore, it's a little difficult to talk about these things in the same context,
because they're not really related in the same way.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah,
in your language?
So in a sense, you're accelerating your vibration to where your vibration is fast enough to sense other vibrations.
Yes. And
So
you can
much so
go
that
beyond the idea of the light speed barrier into something that would be interpreted as traveling faster, but you're not actually traveling faster. You are simply going through parallel realities in perception at a different rate. Because you see, none of you actually travel. Nobody actually goes anywhere. I said there's only here and now. So even the idea of light traveling, it's not really traveling. That's just an illusion of space-time reality that it actually travels or that any of you move in space. Space really, if you want to really say something a little bit more precise, is actually moving through you. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that answer the question?
Yes, it does.
We understand that sometimes these things can be a little confusing where language doesn't exist to explain higher dimensional mechanics. But is that satisfactory?
Yes, yes, it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hello.
And to you, good day.
Good day. So it seems like we are in a choose-your-own-adventure virtual reality game. Does
Yes.
that kind of...
A very apt analogy.
Yeah, it's keeping it simple.
Yes.
So
Don't forget the second S.
the second what?
S.
Oh, yes.
I believe the entire phrase on your planet is keep it simple, stupid.
Oh, right.
No offense.
None taken. None taken.
All right, thank you.
So, as you would say, the paradox in terms of discussing tuning to the reality that I prefer.
Yes.
As you know, there's a lot of dysfunction on this planet.
Oh, yes, we know.
And on the one hand, I feel compelled to want to get involved and help change it. On the other hand, I feel like, well, how about I just tune my frequency into the reality where I end up on the reality that is holistic and working.
Well, that's what happens anyway.
But
both of them are the same thing. One is not exclusive of the other. You help, again, in your language, euphemistically, you help change things on your world by being an example, by acting as an example energetically, vibrationally of the world you prefer and shifting yourself to the parallel reality already representative of the vibration you prefer, because in the process of shifting, you act as an example to others so that they can also choose to make that kind of a shift as well. And that's how you help change the world. Even though you're not actually literally changing anything in that parallel reality, you are simply shifting to another one, and that reality is still exactly the way it was, because all realities exist simultaneously. So the paradox is you help change the world you're in by actually shifting in the best possible way to another reality that is more representative of the world you prefer, because you function as an example to others who can then do so themselves. Do you see how this is tied together?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yeah, I mean, I do get that.
You sound a little hesitant.
No, well, because a part of me feels compelled to sometimes want to get really more hands-on involved.
Well, by all means do so.
Well,
hands-on involvement is the action we're talking about. You have to take physical action. You are experiencing a physical reality, and that's what we mean by the idea of acting as an example. If you really believe in a particular vibrational reality, then your actions will actually exemplify those things by example. Make sense? It has to be grounded in physical reality, otherwise it's just a mental exercise. You're not completing the circuit. It has to be body, mind, spirit, not just mind. You understand?
Yes.
Therefore, by taking an action, you are physicalizing, you are crystallizing the energy of your intention and really radiating in the strongest possible way the vibration of the reality you prefer. Because if you were in that reality, you would be doing whatever it is. You would be physically acting in whatever way gave you joy. As you say that you were compelled to act. You understand?
Yes.
As long as you're doing it in alignment with your true self, with integrity, without expectation, then you are acting as an example. And by those actions, by helping,
You are thus really anchoring that vibration in that reality as an example for others who can then make the choice to mimic that, mirror that, synchronize and harmonize with what you are giving off or not. Make sense?
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Is that sufficient?
Absolutely.
Well, thank you.
Hello, Bashar.
Andrew, good day.
Thank you. Good day to you, too.
Speak up, speak up.
I shall. I just have a quick 2 questions. Do I have any relationship to the Palladian civilization?
Do you mean the Pleiadian?
Yes, thank you for the pronunciation. Yes.
And the next question?
Oh, yes. If I could ask if there's any information coming through from my spirit guides.
All the time. Don't you hear them? Don't you feel them?
Yes, I do.
Then why are you asking me?
Because you're right.
Well, it's a good question. Why are you asking me?
I was just asking if you have...
Why are you asking me?
I'm not sure.
Yes, you are.
Yes, I do. Yes, okay. Let me
It
think
means
about
you
it.
doubt yourself, don't you?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for your honesty. Why do you doubt yourself? Why do you doubt the things that you feel?
I just question myself.
Yes.
I don't know. I'm always here and there. I don't know.
Here and there? Which here? Which there? Would you rather be now?
Yes.
All right. Would it be more joyful to be now?
Absolutely.
All right. Does it really matter where the inspiration comes from? Yes, all of you have different kinds of connections.
Right.
All of you have spirit guides. They are constantly communicating with you. It depends on what you are capable of perceiving and picking up on. Yes, many of you have what you call extraterrestrial connections. You do have Pleiadian and Sirius connections, among others, as many of you do. But again, the idea is, how is it applicable in your physical life? If you are inspired to do certain things that are representative of your joy, then all the information you're probably receiving from them probably has to do with giving you more of an ability to be more of your true self in this physical reality anyway. So it really just comes down to paying attention to your inspiration and your imagination and trusting it, doesn't it?
Yes.
Are you willing to do that?
Absolutely.
Why?
Because it's my highest excitement.
Because it is who you are.
It is
yes.
who I am.
Is this answering your question?
Most definitely. Thank you so much.
Does it answer mine?
Does it answer your question?
Yes. Why do you doubt yourself?
I don't anymore.
Thank you.
I really don't. That's what I needed. Thank
Now,
you.
one moment. Please understand, as this connects to what we talked about in terms of shifting from parallel reality to parallel reality, all of you again, please remember that what you call your physical personality is just a construct. It's an artificial construct composed of definitional beliefs, emotions, and thought patterns and actions. When you say, I don't anymore, you are actually shifting into a new person, literally a new person. And thus, actually, if you really realize that the moment you shift, you are literally, not metaphorically, literally a new person in a new reality, then it's not really an issue of, I don't anymore. It's an issue of, I never did. Because the new person never has. Because the new person has a new history. Because you create the past from the present. So if you have actually shifted into a new person, that person doesn't have the same history that the person who was here a moment ago had. You are literally a new person all the way up and down the timeline that you've created for yourself. So it's not I never did, it's I never had. I've never doubted myself. That's who I am now.
Right, right.
Does that make sense?
Most definitely.
That's how you anchor it in. You follow?
Thank you. Absolutely, yes.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
And
Thank
you,
you.
and you, and you.
Okay.
Hello, Bashar.
And you good day.
Good day. I also had 2 very short questions. for
Very
you.
short questions. 2, 3 feet tall.
I don't know why I said short.
Oh, all right. We shall see.
You talk about parallel realities.
Yes, we did.
And you just said how when you shift or you say something, you become a new person.
Yes.
The person that you were, does that person exist? Like, are there parallel you?
Yes.
Do you ever, who you were, go back to that person?
If you wish to. Obviously, many of you actually do. I can't change. I can't change. I can't change.
Well,
that's what you're doing. You're creating, in a sense, a repeating loop, in a sense, creating not exactly the same person, but one with the same basic perceptions and definitions.
Which one?
Yes?
Sorry. Which one is the real you? Or
all of them. We are endlessly, endlessly fascinated by the Earth-human propensity to always wonder, is it this or that? It's this and that. All of them are the real you. Remember when we said you have no idea how powerful you are, how big you are?
Yeah.
All of them are you, the real you. This is just an extension of the total you. All of them are extensions of the total you, just as fingers are an extension of a hand. They all go back to the same hand. You all go back to the same greater you. Make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. And for my second question.
Yes.
I heard one of your tapes where you talk about a book called The Heart Code.
Yes.
I've been reading that.
Oh, all right. Are you enjoying it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
But I'm having a hard time.
A hard time or a heart time?
Both.
Oh, all right. Thank you. You learn quickly. This and that.
To look at the world, look at myself.
Yes.
Most importantly, through my heart.
Oh, all right. Why are you having difficulty seeing yourself through your heart?
I think I'm trying to find some sort of system.
System.
Like,
but the systems already exist.
Right.
And we have just described that your imagination is the key. And that what excites you the most automatically brings with it the organizing principles and the driving engine of what will work best for you. What other system do you need but that which is already perfect for you? Does that make sense?
Sort of.
Oh, I know. This must be too simple. It must be too easy. It's not complicated enough. Is that why it seems like it doesn't work?
Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, if you want to make it more complicated, I'm not going to stop you. That's your right. But if you really wish to allow it to be easy and simple, you can recognize that the idea of acting on your joy every moment to the best of your ability with integrity and without expectation brings with it every single tool you need in the kit. It gives you the organizing principle through synchronicity, bringing things to you at exactly the right moment, the right place, the right time, with the right people, exactly when you need it. It already works. The system is flawless. It will bring you whatever you direct it to bring you with the strongest vibration you believe it will bring that to you in. That's the system. Do you want a more complicated one?
No.
Do you believe, and here's the, as you say, $64,000 question, do you believe that system works for you?
Yes.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Then then have you found the system?
Well, what we went through today seemed more mind-based than using your heart to create the reality. And
did it?
Because we thought.
Really? You didn't feel a thing?
I did. Well, yeah, I did.
Well.
Okay, I guess, yeah, it makes sense now.
Yes. All you need to do is understand that your heart, in a sense, also does think.
Right.
But it also is the idea of the expression of feeling. You don't have to do it in any particular way. As we said, your imagination is the key. So if you want to go through that exercise, doing it in a manner that your imagination allows to be more heart-centered, then by all means do so. It will work just as well. Because that's what works best for you.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
So feel free to know that you are, shall we say, authorized to alter that exercise in any way, shape, or form your little heart desires.
Thank
that's
you.
what will work best for you. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does.
Does it make sense to your mind and your heart?
Makes sense, yes.
Does that help you then?
Yes, thank you so much.
Thank you.